Hey there. If you're working in Taiwan, have you ever stopped to wonder if you're really getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Things like overtime pay, vacation days, parental leave, they're all protected by law. But let's be honest, trying to understand those laws can feel a little tricky. So today, we're going to break down Taiwan's Labor Standards Act into a super simple guide to your rights. Let's dive in. Think about your last paycheck for a second. Are you 100% sure your overtime was calculated right? Do you know exactly how many vacation days you've earned this year? We're going to cover all of it, so you can walk away feeling confident that you know your rights inside and out. So, here's our roadmap. We're basically going to follow your journey as an employee. We'll start with the basics of your workday, then we'll talk about that all-important time off. From there, we'll look at the crucial support for working parents, and we'll wrap up with a quick look at planning for retirement. First up, let's talk about the absolute foundation of your work life, your time. What does a standard day actually look like according to the law? And more importantly, what happens when it goes a little longer? Okay, the law sets a really clear baseline here. Your standard hours should not be more than 8 hours in a single day or 40 hours total for the week. Simple as that. This is the fundamental rule that's there to protect your time. We've all been there, right? A huge project, a crazy deadline, and next thing you know, you're at the office late. But here's the thing. When you stay past your normal hours, you're not just doing a favor. The law is very clear that you have to be paid extra for that time. So let's see exactly how that works. Now, this is where you really want to pay attention, because your overtime pay isn't just a flat rate. For the first 2 hours you work late, you get paid about 1.3 times your normal hourly wage. For the next 2 hours after that, it bumps up to almost 1.7 times. And in a real emergency situation, that time is paid at double your normal rate. See what's happening here? The law is basically designed to make your employer think twice about keeping you late. The longer you work, the more expensive it gets for them. And to stop things from getting out of hand, the law also puts a cap on overtime. Generally speaking, you can't be asked to work more than 46 hours of overtime in a single month. Now, there are a few exceptions, but the main point is to make sure there's a hard limit to protect your well-being and your personal time. All right, we've covered the work part. Now for the equally important, maybe even more important, rest part. Let's talk about your rights to recharge your batteries, both on a weekly and an annual basis. Okay, lean in for this one, because this confuses a lot of people. You get 2 days off per week, but they are not the same. First, you have your fixed day off. Think of this as your sacred, protected day. Your boss cannot call you into work unless there is a major bona fide emergency, like a natural disaster. Then you have a flexible rest day. Now, your boss can ask you to work on this day, but it's going to cost them big time. The overtime pay on this day is way higher, making it, as you see here, a super expensive day to interrupt. And just to be clear, this 2-day system isn't just a nice company policy. It's guaranteed by law. It's specifically designed to make sure every single worker has a predictable and regular rhythm of work and rest. So what about those longer paid vacations? Well, here's some good news. The law basically rewards your loyalty. The longer you stay with the company, the more paid time off you earn. As you can see, it starts with 3 days after just 6 months on the job. Once you hit a full year, that more than doubles to 7 days. And it just keeps growing from there. Stick with a company for over a decade and you'll start earning an extra day each year, all the way up to a maximum of 30 days off. Work is a massive part of our lives, but of course, life happens outside the office too. So next, let's look at how the law provides some really important support for employees who are starting or growing their families. 8. That's the number. 8 weeks of paid maternity leave for new mothers after giving birth. This is a protected time for recovery, for bonding. It's really a cornerstone of support for working parents here in Taiwan. But the support doesn't stop at those 8 weeks. If you've been with your company for more than 6 months, that maternity leave is at your full pay. During pregnancy, you have the right to ask for less strenuous work without your pay being cut. And new mothers also get paid nursing breaks during the day. The law really does recognize these critical life moments and provides a solid safety net. Okay, so from your very first day on the job to your very last, the law has you covered. Now let's hit the fast forward button and take a quick look at how the Labor Standards Act handles retirement. We're talking about the pension system that's built right into the original Labor Standards Act. Now, you'll often hear this called the old system. That's because a newer plan with individual retirement accounts was introduced back in 2005. But this employer-funded plan is still super important for anyone who started working before then. So when can you actually hang up your hat and retire? Well, the law makes a really clear distinction between when you can choose to retire and when your employer can make you. As you can see on the left, you can choose to retire once you hit certain milestones, like having 25 years of service with the same company. On the other hand, your employer generally can't force you into retirement until you turn 65. So, for the most part, the power is in your hands. Whew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground, from your daily schedule all the way to your long-term future. So, let's boil this all down. What are the absolute most important things you need to remember from all of this? Here it is, your essential rights checklist. Know your standard hours. Always make sure your overtime is being paid correctly at those premium rates. Understand the difference between your 2 weekly days off. Keep track of your annual leave as it grows over time. And please, be aware of the special protections available to you. Remember, these aren't just company perks, they are your legal rights. Knowing your rights is the first, most powerful step. The next step is making sure they're actually reflected in your employment. So after watching this, maybe take a look at your contract. Which of these protections are you going to be checking for first? Knowledge is power, and now you've got a little more of it. Thanks for tuning in.